It is the March 15th, 2026 edition release of Exorcists in Cars Getting Coffee. Yes, sirree. Actually, a little late to be getting coffee now, and you guys know I'm not a coffee man. I'm a Diet Dr. Pepper drinker. But here we are. We're off to late start today. That's all right. And it was time to check in. A lot of things have been going on. I thought I'd check with you guys. What's going on? What's up? What's new in Mike's life? What's going on in the exorcism world? What's going on in the real stuff? Wow. I don't know. Where are we? I kind of do these to update you guys on what I'm doing, how I do battles. There goes an ambulance. Jesus bless him. Bless him, Jesus. Pray for him, whatever's happening. Please not be going to any of my neighbors either. In Jesus' name. Amen. Yeah, what's going on? What's happening? What's going on spiritually? Usually, if you're following along on Tales of Glory, you're pretty up to date what I'm doing spiritually, because I've been reading through 1 Samuel and the Septuagint. I've been doing that online. And I'm going through St. Teresa of Avila, Interior Castle, 6 Mansions, and we just wrapped up a chapter I published on Friday regarding more on intellectual visions and what those are and how important those are. I keep trying to reflect how important this stuff is when it comes to spiritual warfare, because we're in a day and age where we're obsessed. Jesus, praise Jesus, Lord, help them, Lord, just bless them, whoever's going to. Help them. Well, we had fire trucks going by. Had to praise them. Help the firefighters, Lord. Yeah, we're off to a weak start here, aren't we? Out of the starting gate. So yeah, we're just in a society right now with social media where we Christians are obsessed with demonic topics, casting out demons, blah 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 blah. You know, like it's just, and now it's. I know what some of the stuff's going on Mike Winger, and that stuff had to come up with the charismatic movement, because I kind of presented a lot of that for a long time. Now you guys getting it, the light bulb get on. That's why Mike wasn't going insane. I just came out of that world years and years and years ago when I was doing Night Strike, and I saw it. I saw all the apostasy that was going on in some of these churches and what they were doing for prophetic conferences. And again, it's apostasy, not spiritual abuse. These people aren't being tortured and having their minds fragmented to be used for secret societies, satanic ritual abuse, or being beaten to follow Jesus. That's spiritual abuse. We're dealing with apostasy, and we're dealing with a lot of people in the church, especially the Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. What we learned was they were never taught to discern, which is weird. That's how all these problems started, right? They brought all these speakers in, they endorsed them. Man endorses speakers. Jesus anoints. Remember, I get that back from Septuagint. The Israelites wanted a king, and Jesus goes, no, I have a judge system where I speak directly to a judge. We go to battle, and the judge will lead you in battle, and the judge will make judicial and spiritual decisions for you. People go, no, we want a king, just like the Nephilims have kings and the giants have kings. So God goes, fine, I'll pick out a king for you and give you guys what you want. It was punitive damages. He picked out Saul. Why did he pick out Saul? Because Saul stood shoulders above the rest. What are we doing here? We're looking at Nephilim kings. Saul wasn't a Nephilim, but the people wanted somebody like a Nephilim king, a big guy. So Saul's a tall person that stood a shoulder above most of the Israelites. And he was a fallen man. He was broken. But that's what the people wanted. God knew it. He goes, go fine. I'm going to give you what you want, and you're not going to like it. And then when you guys are burnt out on this guy, I'm going to go appoint somebody by how I appoint people, by the heart, not how they look. And so God went and anointed David. So this is the same thing why we don't do endorsements, because mankind endorsed Saul, and they got what they wanted. Because man doesn't choose people like God chooses people. He looks at their hearts. And then nowadays we look at people where we can have a money funnel, where we can make the most money for our church and raise money and prop this person up. I'll look good, they'll look good, we'll endorse each other, we'll build an empire, kind of like an old monarchy. And we heard that prophecy before. Was it from Emma, somebody in England? She said, America, stop the monarchy. And guess who got blown up at that? Guess who got their Bibles in a bunch? It was a New Apostolic Reform. Remember that? and their council of elders on prophetic and said that Emma was wrong. And she was dead on with that prophecy. So, yeah, we got to clean up the prophetic word. It's been a train wreck for a long time. That and deliverance. We've got to recover it because they turn into money makers. And I think Jesus will be flipping tables along these deliverance conferences, nearly all of them right now. They've all gone sideways, more ways than you can imagine. So anyway, what's going on, Mike, spiritually? Well, I had something kind of cool happen recently. You know, I've been going through Septuagint. Like I said, everything's demons, demons, demons. I just want to spend time with Jesus, alone time with Jesus. And if you're a follower of the Exorcists and Cars Getting Coffee type Dr. Pepper, which we're off to now, you'll know that I've been using a little Methodist church built in 1890s out here where I'm at to go and pray in the mornings and do my meditations and be still with God. And I have so many people we're contending for. We're contending for tons of miracles right now. That one individual we talked about who went to the mental facility, she's coming out. I think she's out now, if not already. We prayed for 2.5, 3 years, and there was no hope for this young person. They're probably about 30 now, and they're coming out. And it took us 2.5 years of praying and warring. That just was time I spent in meditation and meditating over Matthew 6, the Our Father prayer. That's what I do in that little church. I have so many people to pray for. The Father knows what I want. And so I've been having a lot of time learning lately because I spend so much time with Jesus in my prayer time. How do I dial back and speak directly to the Father to pray His will? And gosh, Mike, that doesn't sound like spiritual warfare. You're praying this or binding that. No, I'm not. I'm praying personal time with the Father. He knows my needs. He knows the needs of these people. Almost everybody I'm working with right now, almost everybody is going through something horrible. They don't want to be alive anymore. They don't want to commit suicide. That's not what I said. It's things are so horrible. It's okay if Jesus came and took them. Yet they're still here and Jesus hasn't taken them. So how do we fight for that? How do we strengthen them? And how do we fight them and get them through the maladies? And do a lot of warring on that. But back to that. Like I said, so I've been back in the Old Testament studying their warfare, studying their prophecy, because in each and every one of those, they highly promoted discernment. Let's do discernment. So I've been praying to Jesus. I said, man, I want the discernment of Jeremiah. I want the discernment, of Samuel. Look what Samuel did. I want to hear you, Jesus, like Samuel heard you. I want to hear you like Jeremiah heard you. So I've been having these little, things just don't change right away. I have these little tidbits that come in and fall, Like last night, something interesting came into my mind, and I was up about 2 a.m., got woken up, and I started remembering this girl I was kind of like very fond of back in 9th grade when I was out and living in the desert. My dad was in Marine Corps. Her name was Margiana. And I was a nerd. I was very good looking, but I was not high on myself, reflecting, I listened to an ungodly belief system. I didn't believe myself was good looking, but I was a swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer. So imagine somebody in their 9th grade of high school, ripped, right? And this beautiful girl found me attractive. But I didn't know what to do with girls back then. It took me a long time. It took me the longest time through high school to know what to do with girls. And I remember this one gal, Margiana, she started taking interest in me. And it was odd because I don't know why she did or why she wanted to hang around. I was an introvert, so a lot of times I went off by myself for lunch in 9th grade to think about these rockets and stuff I was working on, eat my lunch in a nice summer, desert air out there before it got too hot, and think about these rockets. And all of a sudden, this really pretty young girl, Margiana, starts showing up, having lunch with me. Now, the backstory on her was about a month prior, she went to a party, and the popular guys got her drunk or something. She was drinking, and she ended up having sex with multiple guys. And it got out from the party, and I knew who these guys were. These guys were horrible to begin with. I couldn't stand them anyway. They were jerks. It was some of the popular guys. And I just stayed away from that crowd, but still, at 9th grade, I couldn't fathom what was going on or what happened to Margiana. And so it was like, well, it was weird. Why'd she let herself get drunk at this party? Why let this happen? And then why a month and a half later, she's having lunch with me and talking to me? And what the heck's going on? She was very quiet. I was very quiet. We didn't talk much. And it went on for like a month, and then she stopped having lunch with me. I think it was because I didn't respond to her properly. As a guy, I was just quiet. I was an introvert. I was an Eagle Scout, right? All this stuff going on. And it just ended. And we talked, and that's all we did was did lunch and stuff. But I didn't really know much to do more with a girl then, other than just have lunch with them and talk with them. And so suddenly that relationship faded. She disappeared. So something came up in my mind last night, 2 a.m. You know, like, I'm 60 years old. What's that? We're dialing back to my 9th grade and some girl I haven't seen since 9th grade, or just had a weird relationship with. And so this was part of Jesus having me hear him like Samuel. So he brings her to my mind at 2 a.m. and he's going, here's what happened, Mike. They roofied her. They put a drug in it, got her drunk, and raped her. And that's why she was broken. She was sitting around you because she could trust you. And it was okay that you're a person that didn't understand girls or women back then. And I'm going, oh my God, you know, I wasn't ready to handle that sort of pressure back then either. I knew what happened to her, but I didn't know it to this extent. I didn't put it all together. And so God was going, you just gave her what she needed for the time for her healing. Just a male that would just sit and listen to her and didn't want to take it any farther because she didn't want to be touched by any guy. So you were like the perfect person just to hang out with, be good friends with, even though you had crushes on each other and never went any further. And I'm going, why are you telling me this now, Jesus? It makes sense. Oh my God, you know, I was thinking, should I look her up? Should I reach out to her about trauma and stuff and just talk with her? God goes, no. He says, remember when you said you wanted to hear like Samuel? You wanted to hear like Jeremiah? This is just a little learning lesson. I'm filling you in on it, you know, at 2 a.m. in the morning. I go, wow, that was kind of interesting. So yeah, that was the story of Marjana. And it was like, all right, why'd you fill me in, Jesus? And that's all he wanted me to do. He goes, he's teaching me to hear. So he brought me into a place where he knew I'd hear him and fill in the story. And it's kind of like, wow, it's a very downer now. It's like, you know, she didn't get drunk. It wasn't like either way, it didn't matter. They raped her. So it was horrific. But the fact they told me that they drugged her and it happened makes me even more irate, you know. But it is what it is. So anyhow, that's what happens in the minds of spiritual warfare people, right? And prayer ministers. My deal was I don't spend a lot of time in spiritual warfare. I do spend a lot of time meditation and prayer in our Father to pray for my friends who are sick. I have one needs a new kidney. I have one who's elderly. She doesn't have the energy to move or have desire to live anymore. I have one friend who has massive spinal and thigh issues and internal digestive issues. It's going a lot across that digestive issues. Some sort of a weird curse going across the board. Some of my secret society survivors too. But yeah, that's about it. So, gosh, Mike, are you going to tell us about the exorcism stuff? I do have something going on now. We're still working with one person. Kind of came in through a ministry, and we worked with that person. They kind of disappeared. That's like they come ebbs and flows, right? Come out the tide, go back out. And I worked with them about a month ago on some stuff, on some activity where her and her husband were being touched in the house by a spirit, and they feel it's not a good spirit, and it could actually be an ancestral ghost spirit or a demon with an ancestral ghost spirit attached to it. And they got back contact with me again, so things started touching them again. So we're working on prayers for those to remove those, get them out of the house. I sent them off a Field Guide Spiritual Warfare. You know, it's ways to bring them up to speed where we're at. It's a good book. Get that one, a Field Guide Spiritual Warfare. Also, the Advanced Guide Spiritual Warfare. Get those all off Amazon. And also, the Cosmology and Demonology in Genesis 1 through 11. That topic of the Divine Council worldview from Michael Heiser is taken off now, but that also is getting corrupted. So go ahead and check out my book. That's a good primer for getting the Michael Heiser deep in the theology. I'm having my mother-in-law proof it. We actually had that recorded as an audiobook now. Should have an announcement next couple of days. Sean Franklin, one of the persons I ministered with in Cambodia, knew him from the Way Ministries. I think we were both ordained for that years ago. He reached out to me and did that for me. He says, hey, I think this should be put out as a audiobook. So that's kind of where we're at, man. It's just, like I said, I'm getting referrals. We're doing stuff. We're still doing stuff, satanic ritual abuse and secret societies. And we're working at the harder edge of things where we're having some of the deeper parts come to Jesus because they were tortured by a false Jesus and rituals. So we're still doing that. But yeah, I just thought it was time to give you guys an update on what's going on. Pretty interesting. Like I said, it's quiet. I always keep things quiet. It's not like you see on these YouTube videos and we're binding this, we're binding that. Call those incantations, right? That's Christian witchcraft. We're binding this, we're binding that. Go through the PDF. Come to our $900 conference. or the individual that claims he has inside information on controversial, we did time travel, the Nephilim are still around, and all this garbage. It's just, or the biggest one yet, the pre-Adamic spirits are lingering. Okay, if Adam and Eve brought death into the world, where the heck these pre-Adamic spirits come from, right? And we do know they're not demons, because demons came from the hybrid offspring of the Nephilim. They're wiped out by the flood, and when Goliath died, he was a Nephilim, right? He became a demonic spirit. He wasn't allowed in heaven. He's roaming down here, causing problems. So so many deliverance ministers are buying into this garbage. You should know who I'm talking about now. The key giveaway is he's preaching the pre-Adamic spirits, attacking, especially SRA. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So that's where I'm at. Kind of keep to myself, and we just do our own little projects here. And as I get recommended by pastors, I don't advertise. Somebody noticed that my websites are down. Yeah, I'm rebuilding websites. I do my own show for a lot of stuff, so it just takes time. Do my own videos, do my own HTMLs and all that good stuff. Now I'm learning WordPress too, so I like doing it myself. It helps me manage it. But that's about it. That's it for Exorcists and Cars Getting Coffee. I'm here now getting my Diet Dr. Pepper at my AM PM. If there's anything you guys want to know about for spiritual warfare stuff, leave a comment. A lot of times people just send me these things on Facebook, which is okay. But if it's an interesting thing that's not personal, like a question, please put it on the Facebook group page where it's public instead of DMing me. I'll still get back to you. And if it's private and something you need help with, then DM me on a Field Guide Spiritual Warfare on the Facebook group page. But anyhow, that's about it. That's all I got. I just want to do a quick check-in with you guys. And it's a gorgeous day out, and I got some work to do. God bless all y'all. Bye. This is the M16 Bishop from Exorcists and Cars Getting Coffee. Amen.